Hello, good evening and welcome. How are we all doing out there? Welcome to Talking Songs with me, Rowland Jones. We're here again as usual. Just to say that from next week we'll be going out on a Tuesday rather than a Friday, because I think Fridays are getting a little bit crowded when it comes to broadcasts and stuff. And some of us might want to go to the pub, you never know. In fact, I'm sure some of us will want to go to. Do you realise, by the way, that the pubs are opening at 6 o'clock on Saturday morning? I mean, fair dues, I like a drink, but I think that really is pushing it a bit myself. So I'll kick the session off. This is a tune called New Start, New Day. New Start, New Drinking Day, maybe, who knows. Waking every morning, such a scary thing for me. Afraid to see the empty space, the one where you used to be. Come down to breakfast, no appetite for food. Make a pot of coffee, realize I made enough for two. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. Pick up a paper, catch the bus. Not in particular hurry, nothing matters very much. Find my way without thinking, arrive at my desk. Like I said, nothing matters much. I just couldn't care less. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. Eat a burger on my own, lunchtimes ain't much fun. Watching couples holding hands, remembering when we were one. Stay late at the office, it's easy that way. Get home, eat, cry myself to sleep, just another perfect day. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I know that I can't go on living my life this way. No rhyme, no reason, just an endless day to day. Something's gonna have to change, I'm gonna have to change something in me. But please don't say those words, I hate that. There's plenty more fish in the sea. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. I'm looking for a new start, looking for a new day. Looking for something that will take my breath away. Take my breath away. Take my breath away. Right, over to our guest, and I'm delighted to have with us in the virtual studio, Mr. Steve Ferbrache. Where are you? Look, there you are. How are you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thanks. Yeah.
Good.
In fine form. Can't complain at all.
In fine form. How's the weather down there with you? It's horrible with us.
It's fine. It's all right. Yeah. I fell out of a tree today, so I've
Any
got
particular
a
reason?
sore arm. I was in a tree, cutting it down, cutting part of it down, and so my arm is very, very sore. But I don't know if you can see that, but my daughter's applied Sudocrem, and now I'm fine. So yeah, I'm happy to see you.
Excellent. So you're keeping busy then in this non-gigging era.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I think I've said a few times, like publicly, I've emotionally set myself for probably not doing any meaningful live gigs now until next year. I think maybe there'll be the odd pub gig possibly around December time, whatever, for me solo. But I think the band are probably
resting
in a dark period until January at least.
Yeah.
We've got a gig at the end of January, so we're looking forward to that. But we're all right about it.
Good. What are you going to cheer us up with
We're
today?
enjoying the rest, actually. Come up, say again.
What are you going to cheer us up with then?
Well, I'm gonna. I think the first song I'll do is from our last album. It's a song called "No One Remembers," and I've never played this one solo before because I don't play guitar on it when we do it live.
I seem to recollect you mentioned this on Facebook where you were checking out the
well,
chords
I had
with
to
Robbie.
I had to send a video on our WhatsApp group to sort of say what are the chords to this, because I wrote it and then quickly just handed it over to Robbie and he changed it round.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's called "No One Remembers," and I'm approaching 40 now, and I know for some people of a certain vintage that is still the spring chicken, but this is a song basically reflecting on my 20s, because the 20s are very, very difficult indeed, and it's a song basically about just, don't worry about all the things that happened, because no one cares.
Nobody cares anymore.
No one cares. No one remembers. It's fine.
Brilliant.
Yes, so it's called No One Remembers. Happened early morning, giving at the side aisle indoors. Happened to be grieving still, Sonny Boy blues that no one remembers. No one remembers. Our pretty lives go on somehow. It's time to forget about all that now. Fought with me in the court lane, all kicked off and no one remembers. No one remembers. No one remembers you, even if you come back smiling. So go and find a corner to hide in. You're dressed for a party, sure, but we don't tear it up anymore. Not like we were back then. The last man standing, no one remembers. No one remembers. No one remembers you, even if you come back smiling. Just go and find a corner to hide in. Come up, and I'm the only one, and the animals are out, and I'm feeling like a brand new soul. So dial it back a tone or two. Looking back, I can't hear you. Regrettable, forgettable, the broken hearts that no one remembers. No one remembers. No one remembers you, even if you come back smiling. No one remembers you, even if you come back smiling. Let's go and find a corner to hide in.
Great, nice one. Nice one.
Thank you.
What was it? Was there a specific thing that triggered out of your head when you were writing it, or was it just a sort of general recollection?
There was a specific thing. I said something to somebody like around the time that I wrote it that I'd also said to somebody many years previously, and the circumstances back then were very different. And every time I think about it, it makes me really cringe. So basically, what had happened was years and years ago, when I was in my mid-20s, I'd done a gig in a band that I was in at the time, and someone had come up after the gig and said, "Oh, you were great. Really enjoyed your gig." And I said, "Thank you. You've got absolutely fantastic ears." Meaning, thank you for hearing the nuances of my music. And then I took a second glance at him and realised that he had really big, sticky out ears. And that wasn't what I only. And I just thought, and I remember just cringing. And then I said it. I said, "Oh, you've got great ears" to someone recently, and then it made me think about all the times in my 20s when I did and said things that I was learning about being a good person, and I worry about things that I'd said and done, and realise that no one cares, no one is thinking
You've just reminded me of a similarly cringeworthy event that I did, which I'd forgotten all about. And we were filming a group of models, and the guy who'd organised it, who was the chief model, because like on model head sheets, they always just have a single name, right? Right. So you wouldn't have the full surname; it would just have a name. So it'd be like Neville or Derek or whatever. And this guy was called Xenon, right? And I'm thinking he sees himself as a Marvel comic. And I said, that was great. You were really good, man. Because he was really great at organising. I said, but can I ask you something? Why on earth did you pick the name Xenon? And he said, it's my real name. And apparently it's not uncommon in Poland to be called Xenon. Okay. And I could just, and the guy who was assisting me went, oh, for fuck. So when you said that, it just brought that back, all that shivery feeling of the arms, So what about the because when we talked about this when you were up here last year, you were saying about how you write together as a band. Can you kind of outline that for your public?
So we have a couple of systems that sort of work quite well for us, and they mainly involve one of us, either me or Aaron, typically bringing an idea to the band. It's not an unusual way of writing, to be fair, but there's a couple of steps that we take really. So everyone in the band has quite different strengths when it comes to songwriting, and for the most of the last album, what we did was that I would have an idea and the outline of a song, and I would take it to Robbie. Now, what Robbie's amazing at, because Robbie's got a pedigree as a pop hit writer, he would just cut off all the fat, all the completely unnecessary stuff, right? And in the bits where I'd say, "Oh, there's probably a solo here," he'd say, "Why?" Why
That's
is there a solo there? And it's like, oh, well, it doesn't need to be. I just thought there might be. So he'd really challenge me, because he's we have the kind of relationship where I can bring a song to him, even if it means something to me, and he can pick it apart, and we can still see it just as a song, and then it goes through the ringer, and we all add parts to it, and we all think about it quite carefully, and we then bring the other guys in, and sometimes Robbie and I can work up a song, take it in, and then Aaron will have a groove for it, which will completely change the song and completely move things around. And then Jack and Rufus are just really good at playing parts that serve the song very well. So when we did the last album, none of the songs were
pre-formed,
ready. No, they were. There was a period of pre-production where we spent about I think it was 6 weeks. Once or twice a week we got together and we really arranged the songs very hard and made sure that all the necessary bits were completely necessary. Basically,
it's interesting you say that. I worked with a producer on not the last one I did, but the one before, a guy called Nigel Stonia, who's worked with all sorts of people. And Waterboys and Joan Baez and all sorts of people. And he had this thing about the song should have events. So, the intro will do this, and then the first verse will do that. And he was the same as Robbie. What do you want a solo for? And he was kind of dead against solos.
Yeah.
I quite like, because another thing I remember reading years ago was that in sort of pre-bebop, jazz players saw the solo as creating an alternative melody, not just simply improvising, but improvising a new melody. And apparently Louis Armstrong always used to play the same solos. Once he decided what his solo was for a particular song, he always did the same one. Now, I've never checked that out. So I've told it to lots of people, but I've never actually got around to checking it out. It may be completely false, but I like the idea.
Yeah, well, we often try and employ very sort of traditional pop songwriting methods into what we do, and sometimes, I mean, we take a lot of lead from Stax and the way that Steve Cropper would arrange songs, because he's my personal guitar. Yeah,
I saw you eulogising about him the other day.
Oh yeah, I saw someone post that, and I thought, oh, that just basically sums up my entire approach to songwriting. And what we've done with Aaron and Robbie particularly is we've taken the core parts of a song, and then we've thought, we need an introduction, because we have to. What we want to be doing is when, as people get to know our songs more, they need to know what song it is from the introduction, because it needs to have a unique introduction. But what we would often do is we would leave the introduction until last and find a musical phase or musical movement within the song and put that into the introduction. So, for example, if we have a middle eight or whatever, or a modulation for a solo, that would become the introduction, so that when they hear it later on, it feels like a coherent part of the song. Because sometimes those solos and middle eights can just feel like, oh, well, we need a middle eight, let's just add
They've been
this
stuck
on.
in,
Yeah, so what we try and do is we try and bring it together. So often our introductions and our outros will sometimes be, will have kind of, will appear elsewhere, sort of callbacks, really, in the same way that comedians will call back to running jokes. It's kind of like
the running gag.
The same kind of principle.
It's quite interesting you say that, but we get into the end and then reintroduce. Because I read something some time ago, and it was saying that classical music soloists always learn pieces from the end forwards. So they'll end.
That's hard to get my head around.
Well, if however many bars it is, they will learn the last 32 bars is the first thing they'll learn.
Okay.
And then they gradually build it up. Because and the logic of it is that introductions are relatively easy, but endings can be dreadful. And it means that as you add to it, you're building towards the intro, and then it means that the ending of it is really, really strong.
Yeah,
and it's like Stefan Grappelli once said about soloing. He said, "Well, start it well and end it well, because in the middle nobody's listening." Which is
that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. I think part of our tightness in arrangement is it's also a bit of pushback against kind of blues music in general, really. Yeah. In that often what we would see is would hear a record. We're talking about modern sort of blues music now, so UK blues, whatever. Would hear songs by current blues artists, and on their albums, it would have a solid ending. And then would see the same version live, and
it would peter out.
It would either peter out, or it would just become a real long, protracted jam. So if you look at what the artist, and it's like, well, okay, so that song's a nice tight 4-minute song, and it's a great song on the album, but then they don't. It's not. It hasn't got a decisive end. So the end is just, we'll just do another solo, and then it just goes on. So yeah, we really like the challenge of thinking, right, how are we gonna get in? Deliver what we've got to deliver and get out without overstaying our welcome.
Yeah,
so it's a
absolutely,
nice challenge, and we deliberately set ourselves that challenge. It's like, how can we don't want to deliberately make like 90-second songs, but how can we make this song like punchy? How can we make it happen so that people want to play it again?
Yeah. I think. I mean, I'd agree with you on that. And one of my favourite sort of rock pop songs of all time is "The Boys Are Back in Town."
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy, right? Because and if you think about it, it's got everything that a rock song needs. I mean, it's got the attitude, it's got the harmony guitar solo that everybody sings.
Yeah.
And it's just perfect. It gets in there, it does the job, and it goes home. I think it's just a fantastic song.
Yeah, I'd say the same for the entire album, Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. I mean, I know it's not interesting to like that album because it's just such a classic. But we listened to that album quite a lot before we were in pre-production for this album. We were thinking, okay, what are the key elements of this stuff? Obviously, the groove and the rhythms are really important here, but but it doesn't hang about. You know, it doesn't outstay its welcome at any point.
Yeah.
Each of the songs are really just tight and punchy in a single material. You know, there's no, oh, okay, we'll have a little indulgent jam here.
There's no fat. Interesting you were saying before about guitar solos as well, because I once saw on TV a thing from Seville, which is a big guitar festival, and they had a bunch of guys on stage, big names, all jamming. And one of them was Brian May, and he was hopeless.
Really?
He really didn't know what to do. And if you think about his guitar playing, it's always beautifully structured.
Yeah.
The harmonies are spot on, the melody is there, the resolution at the end of it is there. So, I mean, he's not into that at all.
No, well, he's a great
fish out of
example
water.
of. Yeah, he's a great example of someone who you can tell who it is on like the first three notes. You can
Absolutely, yeah.
tone, which because he's such a tone guy and he's a songwriting guitar player. Like you say,
yeah.
you put him in a jam and he's like, oh, I don't know where I am.
Yeah,
I
he
think you're
didn't really look happy being there, to be honest. And
Yeah.
there was like, people on like Les Paul on stage with him, and it's like,
yeah.
weird. Right, let's do another song. Let's have a listen to another of your.
Oh,
of
from
your
me.
tunes.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think which one to do now. I'll do a song that we don't play live because it was written as an acoustic song that I never thought would make it to the band, and then I was just faffing around with it and we changed it around a bit. So I'll try and play the original acoustic version of it. It's on our album, but we've never played it live because it's quite heavily arranged. But again, it's basically about my 20s. It's the same sort of
You must have had a lot of fun.
I did have a lot of fun, to be fair, and look back on it. But it's sort of about. It's called Turn Around, and it's basically about how you. Doesn't matter how hard or heavy the hangover is, you always have an appetite for more. Basically, it's always like having an extra kind of bit in the tank. Right, how does it go?
I go for that.
Have you ever got yourself so high, thought you'd be the only one ever gonna die? Has it ever hurt so hard, waking in the morning and it's me, oh my? It's not over, it's not over. Let's go there again. You gotta turn around, turn around, turn around, and let's go there again. I took heed of an ancient warning. Never mix the colors of the drinks you're pouring. It's not over, it's not over. Let's go there again. You gotta turn around, turn around, turn around, and let's go there again. Ooh, help me someone, it hurts so bad. One that we ever had. You gotta turn around and let's go there again. Did you ever wake in the rising sunlight? Was it all worth it for the fun last night? It's not over, it's not over. Let's go there again. Turn around, turn around, turn around, and let's go there again. Ooh, help me someone, it hurts so bad. One that we ever had. You gotta turn around and let's go there again. Ooh. with someone it hurts so bad. Ooh, the best one that we ever had. Turn around and let's go there again.
Nice one. Well, tell you what, I'll give you a break. I was going to try and retune my guitar while you were playing. I thought, no, I don't want to disturb you. This is a song. I can't think what it was, but we were watching some black and white film, and it was one of those classic sort of James Dean type things where there's the bad guy who's, you know, the bad boy that the heroine fancies, but she gets let down by him, usual sort of thing. And there seemed to be, you know, a sort of classic films of that era. They were always black and white, and sort of that sort of repeated theme. And this came out of that. This is called "Don't Play with Fire." You think he's dangerous, and you think that's good. You want to tame him, you thought that you could. Well, you should run away, but you won't. Stop yourself, but you don't. Don't want to get hurt, so don't play with fire. You believe you'll find the real him, but what you see is what you get. It's what it says on the tin. You should run away, but you won't. Stop yourself, but you don't. Don't wanna get hurt, so don't play with fire. Now things ain't going so easy. He hurts you and makes you cry. Then he says he's so sorry. So you give him just one more try. But you should run away, but you won't. Stop yourself, but you don't. Don't wanna get hurt, so don't play with fire. Now love don't always end easy. Not all teeth and big smiles. If this one don't turn out so good, to me it won't be no surprise. 'Cause you should run away, but you won't. Stop yourself, but you don't. Don't wanna get hurt, so don't play with fire. It's a moral story.
That's nice.
Cheers. So, what else are you going to entertain us with? I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it too. I haven't done any live things at all over the whole of the lockdown thing. Next song. I think I'll do Spirit, which is the first song off our record, our most recent record. And this is... all the songs are quite short, by the way. as you're probably getting.
Well, so are mine.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I like a short song personally.
I think, I don't know about you, but I find that when I write, I will write 3 verses and a chorus. And if I think it needs to be a bit longer, I struggle.
Yeah.
Occasionally they'll just go along.
I just don't have time to write long songs. I'm just never sat down for long enough to sort of write 5 verses. It's like,
yes.
I've got a hook here, I've got it. But I grew up in the folk tradition. I started going to folk clubs when I was young, so it was pretty normal for me to sit through a 16-verse song, and for me to, and that was, I enjoyed it.
It's like the Book of Revelation set to music, isn't it?
Many time it was, and I think to a degree, I enjoyed it because I would just sit at the end of the bar and let these stories unfold. But then as my palate and taste developed and changed, developed is the wrong word. It hasn't developed because it's I haven't developed away from folk music. It's just moved away from it.
Actually, just on that note, I'll add a quick story in here. We went to the States 3 years ago, and we arrived at 3:30, and I'd arranged to do an open mic night at 6 o'clock that night. And so dropped the stuff off, went to the place, and met the woman that was running it. And I said, well, so how many songs do we do? And she said, well, it depends how many people turn up. And that night, loads and loads of people turned up. And she said, look, I'm sorry, it's going to have to be one a person tonight, because there were like 35 people turned up. And so she introduces the first guy, and she was sitting alongside the stage facing the audience. And this guy got up and he sang one song that lasted 8 minutes and 45 seconds. And she was sitting there trying to smile all the way through it, which was hysterical because you could see her thinking, But yeah,
this happened to us in Memphis, and it's one of my favourite Achievers stories because it didn't happen to. It's a misfortune that it happened to me. After we played all our stuff, we were off for the night. We were in the venue that we'd played, and it was a jam. So people were just turning up, and Aaron was really keen to get up and play some kind of some sort of New Orleans stuff because he'd met a few horn players and a few really good players, and there was a couple of guys in the room that he really wanted to play with. And so he got up and he's on the drums and not his kit, like a normal drum kit, and he's just playing along. Someone plays a 12 bar and he thinks, okay, that's fine. It goes on a bit, and anyway, some other guy gets up and Aaron starts to play this really sort of cool backbeat, really nice kind of like swingy kind of second line thing, and the singer, who's sort of the lead person in this jam, sort of looks at him, gives him a dirty look, and says, no, we're not having that. We're having a slow shuffle. So anyway, Aaron has to play another slow shuffle, and Robbie's up playing guitar at this point as well because Aaron had like forced him to do it. Yeah. And this guy who was at the front was called, I can't remember his name. I don't want to name him anyway because it doesn't look well on him in the end. He sang, honestly, and I'm not exaggerating, for about 15 minutes, one song, verse after verse. He didn't give anybody a solo, no breakdowns, nothing, just verse after verse of him just giving it loads. When he got, and Aaron almost threw his drumsticks at him, he was just going on and on and on and on and on and on. And anyway, when this guy came off stage, we chatted to a guy, one of the sort of a Blues Foundation organisers. Apparently this guy had been banned from every single jam in the whole state of Mississippi because that's all he would do. He would get up and he would dominate the whole night with his just, it was awful. And Aaron never really recovered that night after that. It's a sort of it was really, really bad. But yeah, it's poor form, poor etiquette.
Yeah,
but yeah,
jam sessions often are.
Yeah, I try and write short songs. Get in, get out.
Get back to the bar. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. This is called Spirit, and I half wrote this in a wetsuit, stood in the sea.
That's impressive.
Well, yeah, no, I didn't have my guitar with me at the time, obviously, but in my head I did. Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost in the waves of the southern sea? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost in the waves of the southern sea? I stood like a baby in the southern sea. I've been waiting for a revelation. Thought for the day in an offhand way was joy and celebration. I got a little sorrow and a fear of tomorrow, and a lover with an anxious mind, pitching up to see if I could really be a savior of any kind. I wanna know, did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost in the waves of the southern sea? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost in the waves of the southern sea? It's pitching at my nerves, it's all I deserve in this cracked up jubilation. So absurd that you haven't heard that I lost my strong foundation. Oh, I need you now than I did before. If you could only take some time to come on down to the top of town, bring your woman and bring some wine. I wanna know, did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost in the waves of the southern sea? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost? Did my spirit get lost in the waves of the southern sea?
See, every time I hear that now, I'll expect to see you in a wetsuit. It's
Yeah, I look like a baked potato apparently, according to my wife. Yeah, I bought.
Isn't
I
love
bought
a
new
wonderful
wetsuit
thing?
this week. Yeah, bless her. She's the only person I could get away saying that. But yeah, I bought a new wetsuit this week, so I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks, and yeah, it's not the best look. Yeah, I look
so
like.
are you a surfer or a scuba diver or what?
No, I'm neither. I'm a standing in the sea like a little baby, letting the waves hit me and getting all excited because I basically am very easily pleased, and yeah, all I do basically, yeah, I just go and stand in the sea and let the waves hit me, and I swim around and just pretend I'm a action man. I don't know. I'm 39, and I think if you can't do that, you know, then what can you do?
I suppose I mean, swimming in the UK really does need a wetsuit, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up by the sea, but it's the North, it's the Irish Sea, so it's the most polluted sea in the world, and so I didn't get to go in it very much, so I was always very kind of like longing, wanting to dive in, and then you go down to Cornwall.
So where were you brought up then?
In Rowland, North Wales.
Oh, of course, yes, of course. Sorry, I should have remembered that, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Meanwhile, I was at the other end of Wales trying to get into an equally cold sea. Yeah, it's... Okay, I'll give you a bit of a break. I'll do one. And seeing you mentioned Memphis.
Yeah.
This is called I've Never Been to Memphis, which of course is not true anymore. I've never been to Memphis, never been to Tennessee, but I've been down to the crossroads and everybody passed by me. I ain't no Delta blues man, can't tell a nickel from a dime. No, I ain't no Delta blues man, can't tell a nickel from a dime. But I woke up early in the morning and found dead cats on the line. Now he has got a mojo and a Johnny Conqueroo. He's a hoochie coochie man who put a voodoo boogie on you. I said, good God blues, won't you help me set me free? Oh, I've never been to Memphis, blues feels like home to me. I've never been on a killing floor, I've never picked a bail, but I've been where the thriller's gone. I felt a hellhound on my trail. I said, good God blues, won't you help me set me free? Though I've never been to Memphis, the blues feels like home to me. I've never been to Memphis, never been to Tennessee. No, I've never been to Memphis, never been to Tennessee. But I've been down to the crossroads and everybody passed by me. But I've been down to the crossroads and everybody passed by me. But I've been down to the crossroads and everybody passed by me. Where are you? Where have you gone? Oh, there you are.
I'm still here.
Ah, there it is.
Very nice. There we are.
I actually did sing that in Memphis, and it was quite. What happened was that it was like an open mic night, and I'd gone up and done a sound check, and then when I got on stage, had a chair, they sat down, and the PA just packed up. So they said, "Well, hang on, you go back off, and then we'll get somebody else." And they got somebody else who did a stand-up routine whilst they were sorting the PA out. Then I came back on stage, and they brought a chair for me, but a different chair. And you know those ones you get in primary schools that are about this big? Well, I'm 6'2", and so I'm sitting there with my knees in my ears and with my hat on and my beard. And I could have been a garden gnome. It was,
Nice.
but it went down well. The image wasn't great, but
yeah. No. Oh well.
So, go on and give us another. What's right? What have you written that sort of? What's one you're really proud of? I'm sure you're proud of lots of them because they're good songs.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. That's a very good question.
What's a very good answer then?
What's a good answer? What a song that I'm really proud of? Well, I'm not really. To say I'm not proud of any of the songs would suggest I don't like that. It's just not a feeling I really associate with the process of songwriting. Really, I guess I'm just getting.
I know proud is a tricky word. I have to admit.
It is a very strange word. I guess. I'm more proud of the collective effort that the guys and I make to
That's cool.
produce music that we believe in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pleased that ideas that I've developed or brought have been taken on and accepted. Because there've been quite a few that I've taken and they've gone, no,
What?
that's the not kind of no, but in a very nice way because they're we're very encouraging to one another and stuff. But actually, the Achievers is the first band I've ever been in. You know, where we've collaborated on songwriting and stuff, and I've always been a very sort of self-reflective person, so it's not been an issue. You know, if if one of the lads sort of says, I think that's kind of a bit rhyme-led, or that's just not really, that's not cool, or whatever. You know, so I'm quite happy for them to do that.
See, that's the difference between our generations. You see, when I was, if I'd have been going through that 30 years ago, it would have been. You call that a song? There would have been no punches pulled.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a different world.
Aaron's very, very gifted and very talented and very prolific, and he has the approach of writing lots and lots and lots and lots, and then he picks out the best bits and develops them. Whereas I just don't do anything for ages and then have a period of of activity. So I guess the only song really that the Achievers has that I've bought start to finish and has been unchanged is Careful Sabrina, which is become a bit of a hit. By hit, that's a wanky term for basically saying people go, oh yeah, I know this one, when we start playing it. Because it was written in secret. You have to tell the story in that case. I do have to tell the story. It was written in secret as a joke. Because I didn't want to upset anybody, but basically Sabrina, Careful Sabrina, the song was written about a person that we met when we did our first tour in Europe, and if you've seen us live you'll know the story, but
I know it
basically what happened was, I'm sure you do. basically what happened was is that we went on tour and we're all spoken for gentlemen, and we didn't go on tour with any expectations of doing any of those cliche touring things. We just were looking forward to meeting nice people. But anyway, this very lovely German woman basically threw herself at us in a way that we hadn't ever experienced before. In a kind of, she wasn't like crazy kind of like manic, kind of enthusiasm for us, but it was just kind of like, oh right, okay, so you're just that forward, are you? Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. And we just all ran away like, oh my god, Jesus, she was really full on. So I ended up writing a joke song to sing to the lads about her, and then it ended up actually being a song for her. But actually, there is a wider theme to it, really, and that's throwing caution to the wind, really. And I think ultimately the take home for us all was actually we admire her a great deal because she wanted to do something and she set about doing it, and we just were like, we weren't up for it. But fair play to her for asking, you know. So this is Careful Sabrina. Lost a little money, but I was having a good time. Took a risk on the Riviera. Lost a little bit of what was mine. Have you ever seen a woman like Sabrina? Have you ever seen a woman love herself? No, 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 I bet you don't. Well, I'm a rogue at best and a troubling man at worst. Stuck between my lover's heart and a lover's curse. Have you ever seen a woman like Sabrina? Have you ever seen a woman love herself? No, 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 I bet you don't. So careful, Sabrina, you got a little bit horny and a little bit unstuck. Careful, Sabrina, sure there's a lesson here for all of us, for all of us. But until then, you caught the back end of somebody's drunken dialogue. You lost your friend in the nightclub fog, and you were worried, oh how you were worried. Have you ever seen a woman like Sabrina? Have you ever seen a woman love herself? No, 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 I bet you don't. So careful, Sabrina, you got a little bit horny and a little bit unstuck. Careful, Sabrina, I'm sure there's a lesson here for all of us, for all of us. But until then,
Oh, I picked have lost him. Where's he gone? You've just disappeared, Stephen. Oh, there you are.
Towards the end of the song there, but it's lucky,
It was good
really.
as hell to finish that. That one.
Yeah, well, I'd forgotten the last verse, so it treated me quite well.
Shh, never confess.
No,
Never
well,
confess.
no, let's be open.
It's a great song, good story.
Yeah, thank you. Well, when that song was presented to the band, the guys sort of furrowed browed me a little bit because they couldn't quite understand why I'd chosen such strange grammar, because there's that bit in the middle where it's have you ever seen a woman like Sabrina? No, no, I bet you don't. And that doesn't make sense, but the reason is because that is actually Sabrina talking to me, saying, have you ever seen a woman like Sabrina? And because she's German, she doesn't speak the best of English. And so she says, I bet you don't, so that's the whole reason it's done.
Right, okay.
It's done in 3 different voices. So, yeah, and the whole line about have you ever seen a woman love herself, that isn't like a comment about self-esteem. That's more like a literal suggestion. Have you ever seen a woman love herself? If you know what I'm saying. So that's basically, that's the whole...
I think we passed the threshold that way, you're all right.
Yeah, we're all right, yeah. So basically that's what that is. It's a bit of a dirty song, really, but there you go.
Yeah, it's all right. Doesn't make you a bad person.
No, it doesn't.
Listen, it's a question for you. You've spent a lot of time doing other people's materials. To be honest, I have this thing. I tend not to use the word covers because a lot of people use covers in the sort of pejorative sense of saying, well, I'm just doing covers, which I think is dreadful because there's so many good songs out there. Why not sing them?
Yeah.
What is your of the songs that you've sang, and I'm sure you do hundreds of them, what's your favourite or one of your favourites?
I don't get to sing it very often.
Well, here's your chance.
Well, I don't know how to play it really. Because I very, very rarely play it. But I would say, if I had the chance to play These Days by Jackson Browne, I would play that because basically he was 15 when he wrote that, and he wrote the line, "Don't confront me with my failures, I had not forgotten them." And it's like, oh. Fuck you,
At 15?
God damn it, Jackson Browne. Don't be saying stuff like that to me. I'm not ready for that. It's no.
Precocious,
but
moi.
yeah, I know. But stuff like that. But I mean, I understand what you're saying about the pejorative term of singing covers, but I don't think there's anything shameful about bringing people together. I mean, one thing that I would say is that, one, it's a really good way of making money if you're a musician, and it takes a certain kind of set of skills to do it. But over the last year or so, in a really divided kind of time where I can go to a pub and I can really identify who kind of is against who, like one side of the pub I can understand kind of has certain priorities and certain views, and one side of the pub has certain views and certain priorities. When I sing "Sweet Caroline" by Neil Diamond, they're all singing it. And there are certain things that just bring people together, and I don't have a problem doing that. I don't think. I mean, I heard a British musician in a radio interview saying that he couldn't bring himself to do it. That he couldn't live with himself for doing it. I'm like, well,
pathetic.
That's a bit pretentious, really, because I think I can go out on a Friday night and make enough money for that weekly shop. I couldn't live with myself if I ignored that opportunity. Do you know what I mean? I'm very privileged.
But not
to be
only
able
that.
to do it,
I mean, the argument that I always have is that have you ever come across a book called "A Wop Bop a Loo Bop a Lot Bamboon"?
No, I haven't.
No.
I mean, it sounds familiar.
It's it's about the history of rock and roll in many ways. But one of the things that he writes about is he says that the Beatles had a huge impact, and maybe not such a good one. That everybody up until then, pop music was about just writing pop songs, where suddenly it took meaning. But prior to that, prior to the Beatles, songwriters and performers were different people. Presley didn't write his own material. Sinatra didn't write his own material, although he put his name to some of them. And they were just two separate. You go back to like the Great American Songbook and the Gershwins and Sammy Cahn and all those people. They were writers. They didn't perform.
I totally get it. Like if you think about like the tradition of Stax, and all that Southern Soul, it was groups of songwriters.
Or even closer to home, Tom Jones. He's never written anything.
Exactly. Yeah,
great singer.
Like, people writing songs for other people. I think that's a real skill and real talent. And everybody has a problem with covers until somebody covers their song, and then they're like, "Oh, thanks for doing a cover of my song."
Yeah.
Busted.
Yes, the money wins every time.
Yeah, I think people's objection to covers and pub covers is that quite a lot of the songs that get sung in pubs and stuff aren't necessarily deep or not necessarily meaningful. But that's all right, because people that go out on a Friday night don't necessarily want to hear a Tom Waits song or a Little Feat song or like a deep cut from an early band album. They're basically just there to have a drink and hear songs that they know, and I'm very happy to do that. And I'm very happy to listen to a podcast on the way, sing for 3 hours, listen to a podcast on the way home, and then not work the rest of the week. You know, like, that's fine by me.
I agree with you.
I mean, so I don't really.
I can't think
who
who it was that said it, but certainly one of the is either Gershwin or one of those songs said, "Songwriting is the art of saying I love you in 32 bars."
Yeah,
that's all.
enough,
That's what it was intended to be.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, in the early '60s, suddenly things became, the popular music became meaningful.
Yeah.
In inverted commas.
Yeah. I think the only sort of reservation I have really at the moment, I mean, I can't really comment outside of my own sphere of influence, which not that I influence it in any way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that in the blues scene in the UK, prominent artists will say like, new video coming out Tuesday, or whatever, and then it'll just be like a cover of All Along the Watchtower, or something. It's like, well, what's that for? I mean, I admire your child. I can't play that. I can't play that. But what's it for? Like, I think producing.
It's almost a tribute band idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I can't knock anybody's chops, and people can play stuff really well. But I think, well, how is that furthering the genre? How is that moving stuff forward? I mean, we get a lot of stick in the Achievers for not being bluesy at all, which we're not, and I totally get it. It's fine, but it's like it's not our fault.
Me, you both, mate.
Yeah, it's not our fault that we're popular with blues fans. I mean, that's what happened. Is we released our album to lots of different scenes. Americana scene, rock scene, the blues scene was the one that picked us up, and liked it because I think we are popular enough with blues artists. So when you get kind of like Eric Clapton kind of disciples saying, these guys aren't bluesy, it's like, well, it's not our fault. What do you want us to not gig because, we're not that bluesy?
Well, it is quite a strange thing, is that I think most of us try and say, well, don't like the idea of groupings of and you do what you do, I do what I do. But there is always that danger. And if you are in that sort of, I coined the term from a festival I did in Italy, that I play contaminated blues, because it's blues, but it's got lots of other stuff in there as well.
That's fair enough, yeah.
And, but the thing is that you find yourself in a situation that, as you say, the blues audience says you're not bluesy enough, but the Americana audience says you're too bluesy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I can't. The problem, the challenge that we have now is that that we're just crossing over in terms of generations. I think there's a bunch of really young people who are kind of retroactively kind of still reliving the 60s and 70s blues boom in the UK. And then there's guys at the other end who were actually there the first time round. And then there's guilty. And then there's there's guys in the middle who actually can respect and admire that contribution to the sort of palette of British music. But actually, big fans of American music and big fans of all sorts of different rhythms and styles. And I think the blues scene is probably better for it if we can just stop sort of saying, well, that's not bluesy, this isn't bluesy, and blah blah blah. Because that does, nobody wins, and it's not even an interesting argument anymore. It's been done so many times. It's not even interesting,
I think, as they say, we're singing off the same hymn sheet here, Steve. So
we are indeed, yeah.
Listen, mate, it's been lovely talking to you.
It's been nice talking to you too. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for dropping in. And hopefully, I'll see you again in the. Well, I wouldn't say in the flesh, or even in the wetsuit, but I will see you again soon in person. Shall we say?
You wish. It's a sign to behold.
No, that's not on my wish list, mate.
Thanks for inviting me on, Rowland.
It's all right,
I appreciate it. It's been nice to chat to you, man.
Okay. Look after yourself, and I'll let you go and do your fatherly duties now.
Indeed. Cheerio, mate.
Okay. Cheers, man. Thanks. Oh, there you go. You're back. Well, that was good. I enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed it too. Next week, I've got Paolo Fuschi with me. Good friend, good guitar player, nice guy. And the week after, I've got somebody called Joel Jurgensen, who's an American singer-songwriter that I met in, it sounds dreadful, isn't it? I met him in Nashville a few years ago. Yeah, but I did. And he's going to come and chat to us. And so we shall go on. So, but from next week, it's going to be on a Tuesday. as I said before. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay safe. Cheers, guys.